First of all, you guys have been together for a really long time without any changes in the lineup. What has that been like, and how have you been able to do that in today's atmosphere?
I mean, it's just, I think it's based on us always thinking we could progress together as a band and us not, regurgitating the same record over and over and believing that there's something better we can do, so.
Okay.
And just, obviously being great friends from such an early age helps, and similar upbringing and, growing up in the same area and being into the same music has always been beneficial.
Okay. How does the writing process work for you guys? Like, is it really methodical or chaotic, or is there one of you guys that does a lot of the central writing?
There's not really like a strict method we use. I mean, sometimes we write it in a room together as a band and improv and record everything. Usually Dino will go back and kind of edit out parts that were good, and then we'd listen back and say, the bass line's great, or vocal line, or whatever, and then work from there. I mean, other times just a lot of this record is written remotely because I was living in Seattle at the time, or in for a few more months, and so a lot of it was just trading, emailing stuff back and forth, and it was a little different approach. I mean, we had written songs that way on past records, but this record was more that way than really getting into a room together and performing and, taking that approach.
Okay.
I think it shows in some ways,
Yeah. You guys, your albums are pretty high concept oriented usually. How do you decide on what the concept for each album is going to be?
This record is without a concept.
It is?
So that was easy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. This record is a much different approach. It's almost like a collaboration with Dan the Automator, and it's a Dredg record, but in a way he had a lot of influence on the, tracking, and he wrote musically 3 of the songs, so
okay.
In a way it is a collaboration.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, just 3 of the songs. I mean, it's me singing. I wrote all the vocal parts and everything, and we layered with some other instrumentation and everything. But he kind of, built the beat and so on. And I'm getting off track, basically.
I'm not too worried about formality or anything. Yeah. So, when you write some of your past albums, the ones that are more conceptually based, like there's one about an essay, painting, like a painting, do you feel like the end product resembles what your original idea was for the album in those cases?
Not always. I mean, with El Cielo, the idea was to base it on a painting, and then it kind of evolved from there because the painting, we studied more about the painting, and that was based on sleep paralysis, which I wasn't familiar with at the time. And then we did some research into that and felt like it could have kind of a dual idea behind the record. And so, I mean, that one definitely changed a lot.
Okay.
And, it almost went more towards the sleep paralysis side rather than the painting. The painting was just more like a visual aspect of that,
Interesting.
I guess Dali was inspired by it a lot. And so, yeah, I mean, it changes. Obviously, I mean, sometimes we've had it, like with Pariah, we had a lot of material written, but it was all kind of conceptual in a manner, and then Mark ended up finding that Salman Rushdie thing and thought it was very relative to a lot of the songs and the lyrical concepts. So,
okay.
I mean, that one was kind of delayed conceptually, but yeah, that's usually it's a constant kind of evolution through the writing process and so on.
Yeah, I see what you mean. A lot of the things that inspire the concepts for your albums are forms of art through different media, like paintings or essays. What made you decide to express those other forms through music?
I mean, I think it's just directly relative to our interest in, cinema and books and so on, and obviously that's outside of what we do, so it's more appealing.
Yeah, okay.
Where music, it's kind of, that's what we do, so, maybe cinema is that much more appealing because we're not directly involved with it.
Okay. There have been rumors going around about an upcoming album. There's YouTube videos popping up of live clips of new songs and stuff. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Yeah, it's coming out March 29th. I mean, the record's done. We're doing some final EQing tweaks in the mastering. But yeah, I mean, we finished recording it basically right before this tour began in October. So I think we went on this tour October 17th, 18th, somewhere in there. So pretty much recorded. We're in the studio up until the day before we left.
Wow.
And then we flew to the East Coast. So yeah, I mean, it's finished. It's
very cool.
11 songs. As I said, it's not a concept record. It's kind of just more, these are the songs we wrote. And there's some songs that were written prior to even this writing process. So it's a very spontaneous record, though. I mean, everything from the writing to the recording. I mean, all the drums were recorded, most of the bass, even some guitar in like 3 or 4 days. We only spent 4 days in an actual studio. And then the rest, like vocals were done in 4 or 5 days at Dan's house. I mean, it was very just, we just went for it and didn't overthink it. I think Dan brought a lot of that to the table. He's very more about feeling rather than perfection,
Okay, yeah.
Which is kind of cool and something,
textural things that would rather
yeah, I mean,
proficiency.
We've like overthought a lot of our records and very like meticulous about it. And we still were in many ways, but Dan's just more of like, this is what it is. This is a good song. Let's not waste time on this. Like, so it was a different approach, and that's exactly what we wanted. And we wanted to make a different record,
Yeah.
Last thing we want to do in our early 30s is regurgitate like a record.
Yeah.
From when I was 23 or something, So, it's just what our band's about and always has been about. So.
Very cool. And with the most recent album, The Pariah, the Parrot, and The Delusion, you said it was inspired by a Salman Rushdie essay, Imagine There Is No Heaven, which deals with like religion and how the world would be better off without it. How specifically does the album deal with the topics of religion or atheism?
I mean, I think certain songs are much more relative to that idea than others, but I think the overall feeling was based on that, and a lot of the writing, it wasn't, as I said, it wasn't intentional initially,
right.
Just kind of where I was at with it. And, it's just, it's like all of our records, like I'd say 70-80% is directly related, and some of it veers off a little bit, but it still works. I mean, sometimes we write songs out of context, but we're like, that song works within the record, and it's a good song, and like, let's put it on.
Yeah, why not, right?
So
fits.
Yeah. That's why, in a way, like, this record doesn't have a concept. There's no limitations to, like, lyric ideas and stuff. So we just went for what felt right and did it,
Cool.
So hopefully people enjoy it. It is a different record for us, but
I'm looking forward to it, man. How has the tour been so far, by the way?
It's been great. Actually, the Circuit tour, because we were out with Circuit Survive.
Yeah.
Code 7 and Animals as leaders, who they're still with us on this tour. So, the tour was amazing. Everything from the, dynamic between all the bands and the shows are great. And, we just met Animals as leaders, and we're sharing a bus with them, and they've been awesome. But we'd known Code 7 and Circa. I mean, we knew Code 7 from early 2000, and we met Circa in 05, I think. So, it's cool. It's kind of a
very
reunion tour in a way, and then we bonded with these guys super fast.
So. Oh yeah, they're cool dudes.
Yeah.
I've interviewed Tosin once before and seen him around. So
yeah, so we've had too much fun. It's kind of